Welcome back to our Colonoscopy Preparation podcast series. I am your host, Bimal Maharzan, and today we are diving into T plus 2 days follow up episode about long term care management, plus also to understand a few things about what next after the colonoscopy procedure is done. After your procedure, it's crucial to understand the results and the next steps in your recovery. And this episode will guide you through understanding your colonoscopy results and what they mean for your health and how to effectively manage your care moving forward. So, in this session, we'll explore the intricacies of follow up care, discuss the implications of biopsy results, and outline the potential next steps based on your outcomes. And we will also introduce you to the Gutsphere platform, a platform that we are developing to revolutionize long-term GI health management. We want to share about this mission, vision, how, and what's the role of AI in it. And we will discuss why this platform is essential, what it offers, how it operates, and how it differs from traditional healthcare management approaches. And all of our information is grounded on number one is personal experience. Number two, from resources from leading healthcare organizations. And third is all of those things are science backed. Before I proceed, I also want to add a disclaimer that Gutsphere is here to provide you education, self-care tools, and resources. Gutsphere is not a clinical firm or a healthcare provider. For any personalized treatment plans, medical advice, or any medical care, please contact your healthcare provider. After this, let's begin our understanding the follow-up care. And as usual, let's follow our Q&A format. And the first question is, when and how will I receive the detailed result of my colonoscopy? The method of receiving your colonoscopy results can vary depending on the healthcare provider. So most clinics will offer you a follow-up appointment where your gastroenterologist will discuss the results with you in detail. Some may also provide initial results through a secure online patient portal. In my case, after the procedure was done, after I woke up, overview was given to me by the gastroenterologist what he found and what he didn't find. In my case, they didn't find anything else except for a few polyps and had removed few polyps, and polyps have been sent for the lab to test it, whether it's benign or cancerous. So that initial assessment was given to me immediately after my colonoscopy when I woke up. That's one. And a detailed diagnosis or analysis and results were given after the lab results came out, and I was able to access that lab result through online portal. And however, my gastroenterologist did walk me through the results when we had a telephonic conversation. So according to health communication standards, results should be communicated directly by a healthcare professional who can explain the findings and answer any questions. And what is the timeline for that? The timeline for receiving results can vary based on findings during the procedure. If no biopsies were taken, you might receive your results within a few days. However, if tissue samples were collected for biopsy, it may take a week or more to get detailed results as the sample undergo pathological examination. And obviously, the prompt reporting of results is crucial for effective patient care and can alleviate anxiety associated with waiting. As I said earlier, the reason why I went into the colonoscopy was the fear of cancer. And that was the word that injected in my head, and I was fearful of that. And when my doctor told me that some biopsies were taken, and then the wait period was very anxiety, but I was very restless because what would they find? Like, am I all right? And so on. However, I was confident because I didn't have any symptoms related to that. But again, nobody can tell. So I was restless during the waiting period. And obviously, to manage restlessness, it's about doing the regular chores, keeping myself busy, continuing meditation, and obviously have the supporting friends and family members help me a lot. Let's get on to third point, understanding the results. So it's important to understand what the results mean for your health. And your results might indicate a clear colon, the presence of polyps, or other issues. Each outcome has different implications for your health and potential future screenings. The research indicates that patient education on the implications of colonoscopy findings can significantly impact long-term healthcare management and compliance with follow-up recommendations. And number four, preparing for the discussion. Being prepared can help you make the most of the results appointment. As I said earlier, as patients, it's quite overwhelming to get a call and have a conversation with the provider because, as I said, there are three things: known, unknown, and unknown. And therefore, not knowing what to ask questions is actually deterrent to knowing the right answers. So preparing in advance helps. So writing down any questions or concerns you have about your procedure or potential findings beforehand, so you're ready to discuss with your doctor during the follow-up. As study on patient outcomes suggests that patients who come prepared with questions often feel more satisfied with the care and have a better understanding of the health situation. So educated and empowered patients definitely impact better patient outcomes. That's what the study says. Now let's double click a bit more and get into understanding biopsy results. The question here is, if biopsies were taken, what are the potential outcomes? What do each of these mean for my health? Let's talk about number one, types of biopsy outcomes. So biopsies during a colonoscopy are taken to examine any suspicious areas more closely, which could range from the mild inflammation to the potential precancerous growths. Common findings from biopsies include 1. Benign polyps, 2. Hyperplastic polyps, 3. Adenomas, and in rare cases, 4. Malignant cancer cells. So according to the American Cancer Society, early detection of colorectal cancer through screenings like colonoscopies significantly improves treatment outcomes, which is why biopsies are crucial. And let's talk to the second step about interpreting the results. The results from biopsy can inform your doctor about the nature of any growths or abnormalities in your colon. Benign columns are common. For example, my polyps were benign and generally not harmful, but adenomas can be precancerous and might require removal and ongoing surveillance. Clinical guidelines suggest that removing adenomatous polyps reduce the risk of developing colorectal cancer in the future. And let's talk about health implications. So each type of biopsy results carries different implications for your health management. If benign polyps are found, they may simply be removed during the colonoscopy with no further action needed unless they are numerous or large. However, if adenomatous or malignant polyps are detected, more extensive treatment and frequent surveillance colonoscopies may be necessary. And the research shows that Patients with adenomatous polyps have a higher risk of colorectal cancer, which is why regular follow-up is essential. So, what are the next steps after biopsy results? So, your follow-up care will depend on the biopsy results. For benign results, the routine follow-up colonoscopies might be recommended after 5 to 10 years. For more serious findings, such as a high risk adenomas or cancer, your doctor will discuss more immediate treatment options and close monitoring. The follow-up intervals and treatments are based on guidelines developed from large-scale studies that assess the best outcome for patients based on specific biopsy results. So the next follow-up is going to be based on your biopsy result. And I said earlier, the most common is benign. There may be some adenomas or the precancerous growths, and which is very rare. So depending on the result, your next step will be different. Let me double click on next steps based on colonoscopy results. So depending on colonoscopy results, what are the next steps? Are there additional tests or procedures I should anticipate? That's the question. Again, if your colonoscopy results are normal and no abnormalities are found, the next steps typically involves routine follow-up screening at intervals recommended by your healthcare provider. For individuals with no risk factors and normal result, a follow-up colonoscopy might be scheduled for 10 years later. So according to guidelines from the American Cancer Society, a 10-year interval is standard for individuals with a average risk and a clean colonoscopy result. Number two is polyps or other abnormalities. If polyps or other abnormalities are detected, the next step depends on the type, size, and number of polyps found. Small benign polyps may simply be removed and require no further immediate action. But a follow-up colonoscopy might be recommended sooner, such as 3 to 5 years to monitor for new growths. Again, the studies show that the regular monitoring after removal of polyps significantly reduce the risk of colorectal cancer. Number three, high-risk findings. More serious findings such as a large or multiple adenomatous polyps or any signs of cancer require more detailed follow-up, which may include additional diagnostic tests or treatments. For example, might include a repeat colonoscopy in 1 to 3 years, imaging test, or consultation with oncologist if cancerous cells are detected. Number four, inconclusive or unclear results. Sometimes results can be inconclusive or unclear, necessitating further evaluation. If visual clarity was an issue during your colonoscopy due to inadequate bowel prep, or repeat colonoscopy might be necessary. You'd be surprised, inadequate bowel preparation can occur in up to 25% of the cases and significantly impact the ability to detect abnormalities as noted in clinical studies. Hence, this colonoscopy preparation handbook, colonoscopy preparation timeline handbook that we have prepared. The podcast is the step number one. Along with the podcast, we have is the user guide and checklist that makes it more actionable. Along with user guide and checklist, we also have SMS prep reminders so that you get reminded at the right time for every procedure. And this podcast is also structured in such a way that you meticulously get that piece of information, right information at the right time. And you can sign up for the SMS reminders, or you can be the champion of more accessible preparation and share it with your friends and family members, and also with your clinicians and providers, so that everybody prepares adequately for colonoscopy, we can reduce that 25% to zero, and that beneficial for everyone. For patients, obviously, because you don't have to pay more, you don't have to go through the process more, and there is a clear visibility. Is efficient for the providers because they can get the clear visibility and they are able to diagnose and treat efficiently. It's for payers because they don't have to pay for the repeat procedure, and for the health systems, the outcomes are better. So, in order to meet multiple objectives, starting with the patients, we are starting the Gutsphere with the colonoscopy SMS reminders, and this podcast is open and available to all for free, and the downloads for the user guides and for checklists are available for free in some versions, and also high resolution you can purchase the entire handbook from our website. So our goal is to reduce the inadequate preparation and make it universally accessible at the lowest cost possible. And number five, additional tests or procedures. Depending on your specific results, additional tests such as CT colonography, MRI, blood test may be required to further investigate or manage detected abnormalities. For instance, if a potentially malignant is noted, a CT scan may be ordered for a check for metastasis. Advanced imaging techniques can provide more detailed information about extent of disease and guide treatment planning. So, with this, we have come to the end of Colonoscopy Preparation Timeline Handbook podcast series. With this, we have helped you and guided you through the entire process. I know it was a bit elaborate, but we want to be as detailed, as comprehensive, and as actionable as possible. Our mission is to reduce the inadequate preparation so that none of the patients have to suffer through the procedures twice because of inadequate preparation. And for colonoscopy, we know that we require a lot of actions, the steps a patient has to take, and we believe that empowered, educated patients can prepare better and directly impacts the provider doctor efficiency, healthcare efficiency, and reduce cost for everyone. And these things are certainly available inside the walled gardens of health systems. However, our value add or our innovation is to make these preparation accessible to everyone, direct to consumer, direct to patient. Let me do a brief recap first of this episode and of the entire podcast series. In this episode, what we have talked about is one, you understand the results, what the results could be, and based on the different type of the result, what the next steps could be, and based on the risk profile, risk on the result, how frequently colonoscopy may be done, and based on the results found, it may require necessitate the further testings. So we talked about primarily these three things. And to recap the entire series, here is what we did. We started with a welcome guide. We explained what colonoscopy is, why it is important, and how it's done, who does it, and everything, and give you an overview about the colonoscopy process. Then we did a T plus 14 days about picking up the prep kit. In that prep kit, what we did was we listed all the prep kits that are available, from low volume, high volume, to expensive to inexpensive, and also categorized based on what could the potential side effects, and also talked about based on different chronic conditions, liver, kidney, heart diseases, diabetic, and there could be a match for the prep kit. And we went through all that so that you're informed about different prep kits, their pros and cons, and if you are with patient with a chronic diseases, what is the perfect fit or match for the potential prep kit. And also you have personal preferences based on your taste and budget, and how healthy or unhealthy or severity you are, you can pick the right one. So our goal is to enable you to give information, enable you to pick the right one that works best for you, for your test, budget, and your health condition. And third, we did T minus seven, T, medical adjustment and arranging for the driver episode. Again, in this case also, there are different categories of patients who go into colonoscopy. There are general people who, for the age of 45, let's say there is no uh, pre-existing conditions. Then for them, it's very simple. You don't take any medications, then you don't have to adjust any medication. But 7 days in advance, you should know everything about what medical adjustment you need to take. So we enabled and equipped you to know about all the medical adjustments you need to make, plus the questions that you need to ask with your healthcare provider, especially when you're working with the team of your doctors. For example, if you have a heart condition, cardiologist; if you have a kidney condition, nephrologist; if you have a liver condition, hepatologist; if you have a GI issues, your gastroenterologist; and also if you have mental disorder, your psychiatrist or psychologist. So you have adequate time to discuss the what medical assessments you need to make with all your clinical team. Furthermore, we also understand that people take supplements, and their supplements can also interfere with the colonoscopy process. And we listed out different supplements that you should stop or continue taking it. So again, disclose that to your healthcare provider 7 days in advance, so you have everything ready to adjust your medications. Plus, we talk about logistical issues such as arranging for the driver. I think in the busy world, we need to give advance notices to everyone so that they can, to our friends, family members, or anyone who is coming to pick us up, so that we don't have to cancel or reschedule simply because we don't have anyone to drive pick us up from the clinic or hospital or the colonoscopy center. Next, we did episode on T minus 5 days. That's when most of the time the medical you have to activate the medical adjustments. And from T minus 7 was about knowledge. T minus 5 days is about more action based on that particular knowledge. And we equip you with, and again, double down on different chronic conditions, what to do, what not to do, what questions you need to ask, and general, frequently asked questions about medical adjustments. We went through that in detail. In T minus 3 days is where we talked about the adjustment low residue diet. We talked about what is low residue diet, what to eat, what not to eat, and again for different chronic conditions, what to eat and what not to eat, and what are the right questions to ask. So that's what we did in T minus 3. We also did an episode on T minus 1 days. This is when you do the few things. Number one is go on a no solid food diet, which is a liquid diet. We talk about what is liquid diet, starting with the morning, in the afternoon. So that's what we did in T minus 1 episode, morning episode, T minus 1 afternoon episode. We talk about starting to take the prep kit, and give you the instructions for different kinds of prep kits. And obviously by now you would have enough information about what's the right fit for you based on the your personal history, medical history, budget and test, and availability, and so on. And we give you instructions for most of the commonly available prep kits out there. And and then T minus one evening, we also talked about how to prepare for the good night's sleep, in addition to managing anxiety, nervousness, and so on. So that was T minus 1 day broken down to 3 episodes: T minus one in the morning, T minus one afternoon, T minus one in the evening. Then on the colonoscopy day, we start talking about T minus 6 hours. That's when normally we talk about to avoid any liquids, and especially we talk about different complexities about different medications for chronic diseases in T minus 6 hours episode. In T minus 2 hours episode, we talk about most logistics, getting to the center, how soon you should get there, and what to expect during the waiting periods, and how can you make yourself comfortable at that. We talk about that in T minus 2 hours episode. And after your colonoscopy is done in T plus 2 1, so we talk about what the early recovery looks like, what to do and what not to do. And then in T plus one episode, we talk about general check-in, talk about introducing food, introducing this activities, reintroducing medications and supplements. So we talk all about that. And in the T plus 2 days, I already built this required. We talk about understanding results, what next to do. And finally, here we have opportunity to talk about long-term management. As a GI patient, I empathize with all the GI patients out there, whether you have chronic constipation, diarrhea, IBS, IBS-C, IBS-D, abdominal pain, IBD, or colitis, Crohn's disease, and any other GI issues. I empathize with you all. And one thing that I know and empathize is that once you have this, it's a lifelong. It never goes away. It will go away, but it can't come back if you change habits. For example, today I'm living constipation free, and it took me multiple years to get here. And I changed everything about. First of all, I learned what it was causing. Then after I started causing, then became the investigator and the scientist of my own body. Then I went to experimentation more. Then I understood what works and what doesn't work for me. And it's very personal journey. And I know that every patient's journey is very personal journey. And I'm borrowing from my mother. She always said to me that as a patient wants to know about their disease and their body more than the doctor, because it's you as a patient who has to live with your body 24/7. So I took that advice and went on experiment, learned a lot about my body and disease, and because of that, I'm living constipation free. And let me give you a general framework. So I'm an engineer. I studied industrial engineering, and I took a very engineering approach to this. So as an engineer, the analogy I used is my body is a machine. So in the machine, so there is input, there is processing, then there is output. And whenever there is a problem in the machine, right? So it's best to start with whether you have the right input or not, whether you are processing it correctly or not, and in order to do that, there is an exhaust. For example, you have a car, your exhaust will tell you a lot that whether uh, your engine is working perfectly or not. And if you put a diesel in a petroleum car, obviously it won't run well and it will break down. I think similar thing is with our body as well. We are not feeding well, we are not running it well, and obviously it's going to break down. And for me, following things, for example, number one is chronic constipation is the symptom of that, me abusing my body with the wrong input and wrong processing. not sleeping well, not exercising, lead a sedentary lifestyle, eating a standard American diet, and a lot of stress, a lot of sitting on the decks and working. So many variable things, and I needed to change that. One thing is dehydration. I wasn't drinking a lot of water, so I learned a lot about it, and step by step went changed. And for multiple years, I'm living cancer free, and my quality of life have increased. For many other people also, the severity may vary, how you handle it may vary, but the fundamentals about, okay, one need to own up their own life and need to make changes. And I think there is a huge gap between getting an information and making it actionable. So what I want to do is that, of course, I want to provide right information so that every patient gets to understand what's wrong with them and also make an action so that take an action so that they can create that forward momentum and the positive momentum and get the life health and life back. So that's what I want to do in the long term management, GI health management. And that's where I start envisioning a Gutsphere or GI self-help platform. And for me, it's the right time to do it right now because of the AI revolution. And next, I'm going to talk about what that revolution is and how are we going to be an AI first company to make sure we produce a platform which is for patient, built by the patient, built for the patients, and make it more affordable, accessible, and actionable. As usual, I want to add this. We have attached the user guide and a checklist along with this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, go to our show notes and find the podcast and download them. And obviously, share with your friends, family, and everybody that who would need this. And finally, one more thing I want to give us, we need your support to launch, grow Gutsphere platform. And we want to create a platform that's going to be a co-pilot for a patient in every step of their patient journey so that the patient becomes the, the pilot of their health plan and they can get the quality of their life, happiness back, and they can be happy, healthy, and wealthy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you with other piece of information and other episode where we will talk a lot more about how you can get your GI health back. Thank you.